Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Elbows Tight Podcast. It's your host, Travis and John. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Feel good today.
Yeah, me too. It's a beautiful day outside.
It is.
We have our very special guest today, Sonia. Sonia, how you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Amazing. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
But before we get into any more stuff, John, let's go ahead and what we got in the beverage of the day today. It's a special one.
Yeah, it's a little different today from our normal beer, but
Yeah.
I think it was a perfect timing for some hot coffee.
Yeah, it is delicious.
Yeah. It's definitely not instant coffee, thank God. I can't stand that stuff. This
my
is
God.
delicious. Is this a special blend or anything? Or
No, I think it's a Stumptown roast from Whole Foods.
Oh,
that's funny.
Yeah.
It's actually really smooth. I don't mind black coffee, but the only reason I don't drink like black coffee or black espresso a lot of the time is because it's just so overpowering sometimes. So like, this is really smooth and good. And I was when you brewed it, it had like a foam on top, but I thought it was like creamer. And then when I took a sip, I was like, oh no, that's just straight coffee.
I
That
was
is
wondering
really
the same
good.
thing.
That is really good. So, but
But
you
I
got
see-
this from Trader Joe's, you said?
No, it's a Whole Foods.
Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, well, thank you for the coffee also.
You're welcome.
So go ahead and why don't you introduce yourself there, Sonia?
All right. So my name is Sonia, obviously. I own Combat Arts Academy in Seattle and Burien. I've been training jiu-jitsu for 10 years. I am a brown belt under Professor Roland Gutierrez, who's under Rick Lucero, one of the Dirty Dozen. And I've been coaching for the last 17, almost 18 years of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Started coaching kids in Taekwondo when I was 14, and I just haven't stopped.
Yeah. Love it.
So you just found the passion for it early, huh?
And then even when I was at UW going to undergraduate, I was still coaching kids. And then even when I had a 9-to-5 job, same thing. I just got, I stutter a little bit, you guys. So I just kept coaching. And
That's good.
It turned into what it is today.
So how long have you had your school?
7 years.
7 years. And what made you spark the interest in opening your own school?
It wasn't my interest, actually. So it was my former partner's pipe dream, and I helped fund it, plan it, organize it. I was working full-time as this was happening and poured my heart and soul into making that dream a reality. That was actually the name of our LLC, was Dreams to Reality.
Oh, that's cool.
And at some point, I quit my full-time job and started doing the gym full-time.
Wow. Never looked back? That's awesome. What was the point that you realized that you could do this full time?
Oh, gosh. The first 4 years were an absolute struggle.
Really?
And there was a moment where I almost had to close my doors.
Oh, no.
A couple of different times. And I did have an option for different employment. Would have been $70,000 to start, full-time or full benefits and everything. And I looked at that. I looked at the gym, the people in the gym, and I was like, nope, I'm never going back to working for anybody else and doing anything other than what I'm currently doing.
That's awesome.
Because it's when you see the change in people and see the benefits of training with a team and like the kids are all fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it's a life-changing thing.
Yeah, when we were in there earlier today, the first thing that we pointed out was how many kids you have. It's amazing that you have that many kids and women in your school. Like, absolutely amazing.
That was a small day for the kids.
Was it
so
really?
This Sunday class is a mixed ages kids class. We only had 3 minis and probably 15, 20 kids. Generally, I will have 12 to 15 minis in one class, and minis meaning ages 3 to 5. Yeah, and then for older kids, I'll have between 25 to 40.
Holy crap.
And that's kids level 1, and then in kids level 2, we'll have 20 to 30 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We have 2 separate kids class also. We have the normal kids class, which I think is like 8 to 16 or
The
something
minions.
like
Well, we got the minions.
that. And then we also have the
Yeah.
minions. We
Oh,
call
that's
them.
a great name.
Yeah. So just like yours, I think it's
Yeah.
like 3 to 7 or something like that.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so watching them, I absolutely love watching them because they're just like they'll pick up little things here and there, but like they're just so cute. They're just rolling around in their little geese and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, that's so cute. I can't wait to see where they go from. But it's cool also watching the minions or the minis and then them coming into it and then, growing into now they're in the kids class and now, they're a higher kids belt and whatnot. So
Absolutely.
I love it. It's cool seeing that many kids actually enjoy it, hopefully, and continue to do it. So how do you keep them motivated?
Setting lots of goals, That's sometimes that's a hard. Here's the stuttering. Cool. Sometimes that's a hard thing to do simply because like they don't know what or why they're doing it. So a lot of like what we talk about is why are we here? Like what is the point of class? Like, do you want to go sit out? Do you want to be here? If you don't want to be here, like why is that? Like, is it too hard? If it's too hard, do we want to push through it? Do you want to get better at this? So it's always like working to get just like a little bit better. So when kids start looking at it in digestible chunks that way, they now see like the purpose of what they're doing. So it's not boring. It's not silly. It's not something that they're forced into by their parents sometimes. It's actually something that they want to do.
Right.
So for our kids, when they get their third stripe on their white belt, now it's the intro to the level 2 kids. And so for them, they want that third stripe because they want to be in level 2. They want to spar. They want to learn submissions and all of that stuff. So it's almost incentivized. And then when we're in level 2, now we're all of the leaders of the kids class. So those kids, they have to be leaders or else they go back to level 1.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. And
That's good.
so now the level 2 kids help the level 1 kids. And so now it's kind of like a nice cycle of you start out brand new, you put the work in, you move up, now you go back and help somebody else. And so that way they develop leadership skills
Oh, man.
through helping
That's
out.
so smart.
Yeah.
I like that. We just had some kids testing at our school, last week and the week before that. And I have 2 daughters that go. One's in the minions and the other one's in a little bit older class. And it's funny because now they compete with each other, who has the most stripes, all this. But as soon as they knew testing was coming up, there was like a change, like a light bulb went off.
Yep.
I didn't have to so much make them go
Yeah.
anymore. They didn't argue with me as much. And, they're both into it, but it is hard to keep them motivated. And one thing I've noticed whenever they're trying to teach them a move or position, if they relate it back to bullying in class, it seems like all the kids can relate to that. So they really pay attention to that portion. But just something I've noticed.
I think too for kids is you can't teach them technique specifically. Like guard pull, we'll talk about we're going to grab the grips, we're going to sit to our butt, and then we're going to trap them. So you're going to trap you're going to lock your legs around their belt. Or double leg takedown is we're going to go into our duck walk, and then we're going to crash into them and bulldoze. We're going to bear hug, and then we're going to tackle them. But that's how you teach a kid a double leg. Right? So it simplifies the technique. They can actually do it, and then conceptually they pick it up really well.
Yeah, that's smart. You're making it like conceptually more appealing to them. They're like, oh, I want to bulldoze through someone. I want to tag.
I like hearing it that way too.
No, that's smart. I think minions don't spar, do they? In ours,
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
I've seen them learn like maybe 1 or 2 submissions, but like we had one of our friends' daughters. They went and did Revolution, this last one, and when it came to the Revolution, she didn't know too many submissions. She has great positioning and she's very strong and whatnot, but then she ended up getting arm barred by a kid, and she took it really hard. And they were like, "Well, you got to understand, like we haven't really gone. We're a brand new school. We haven't really gotten to the point yet where the minions are constantly learning, something like that. And like it's more like you said, like they're just kind of getting moving and like thinking outside the box for them. And one thing I wish, or that I noticed too, is they're starting to do more of, like John said, like relating it to bullying, or what are you going to do if a kid does this to you, or you know what I mean? Because I have a son that does jujitsu too, and he's more motivated to do it now, but he's a little bit of a funnier kid and a little different and whatnot. So I tell him, like, look, man, you got to pay attention because someday someone's going to try to challenge you, and you want to make sure that you can smartly defend yourself. So yeah, it's fun in games in class, but it relates to the real world.
Absolutely. How old are your kids?
13 or 12 and 7 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's 11.
11. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Do you have any kids?
I don't know.
No.
I think that preteen and teenage years are sometimes difficult to relate to because there's so much going on in life that they have a really hard time like finding that purpose, because I think that age group is where our attention isn't as high.
Yeah.
Because they have other activities, what their friends want to do. They want to go do whatever 11, 12, 13-year-old kids do.
Right.
So I think if they start off young enough and grow into it, they're going to stick with it. Like we have a good solid group of teens.
Really?
But it's retaining them through that 11, 12, 13 age range.
Do you have any kids that have started day one of the gym that are still there today and you've seen them grow or close to the beginning?
I have 3 to 4 kids. Yeah. One was 4 when he started. He was my very first mini. He is now 10, turning 11 this year.
Holy crap.
So just really awesome to see that progress. Absolutely.
So basically he would kick John Knight's butt. Like,
Probably.
Some of those kids are scary.
They are.
That little tiny 4.5-year-old I saw today, Marcus, he's kind of scary.
Yeah.
He will do 3 classes in a row sometimes, and he will get tired and exhausted by the end of it and hit a little wall, but he's able to push through sometimes and do the minis class, the big kids class, and the level 2 class.
Wow, that's crazy. We have I'm drawing a blank on her name right now. The one that does every class. Riley. So we have Riley. She's I think 12 or 13 years old, and she does the kids class. She does the adults only class. She does the women's self-defense class. All the competition class.
The last 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and she has like a judo background, and when you spar with her, she's also a gymnast, and so we're like, we'll take it kind of like, we won't go too hard on her, but no, you can't do that because she will kick your butt. She is no joke. Like, don't let the size fool you. Like she is deadly. She will get you real quick if you underestimate her. You know, so it's
awesome.
cool seeing that. Yeah, and so we have a couple kids that are I'm excited to see them, like you said, grow into it more, and especially with the minions class. You know, but. So what has been your biggest learning experience since you've opened up your school?
Oh gosh, the lessons are definitely endless. I think for me, it's been figuring out how to do business the right way, because a lot of gym owners and a lot of coaches, when they start their own business, there's 2 extremes that happen. There is I'm going to run my business like a club, so I still work full time and it's not going to grow as much. And then there's the overly business 2-year contract, sign up fee level of gym ownership.
Right.
And so finding that balance, I think, is a difficult thing to do, and through a lot of change, because that's the one thing, if you know me, I embrace change. We change things a lot, whether it's a remodel project, a policy, a procedure, like how we do things, like the class structure. Things change a lot because we're always trying to find better practices.
Yeah.
So I think it's been finding that like nice business balance.
Yeah. Life to business balance, or just business balance in general?
Within that business.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Running a martial arts gym, honestly, I think is a difficult thing to do sometimes, because you relate to the people, like you see the people side of it, but then you're also a business trying to make money and generate revenue. Right. So what's that fine line between like being too much of a business or too much focus on the people?
Gotcha.
You know, if that makes sense.
No, it
does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because our gym, when we first started, we originally were just a CrossFit gym. And so it was, you have to be more of the people side to get people in there. And then you slowly start, adding more of those business aspects, from what I've seen, to where now we're more lucrative. Now we can have nicer things, or we can bring in more revenue for the school to upgrade the school or whatever. So no, I completely understand what you're saying. When for your coaches, how do your coaches have like extra learning that they do, or do you send them to the seminars, or like if they want to do stuff like that, how do you do that with your coaches?
So our coaches, they primarily just train. Like
Really?
Everybody trains together at our gym, including Professor Roland. Like he leads by example. Like
Really?
Today when we were leaving, we saw the class do the warm up. He was out there doing every single rep.
Yep.
So we have a pretty big lead by example philosophy, and so the coaches all train together. Whether it's in the level 2 classes on the side, like on Sundays, because Sunday is a Sunday fun day.
Yeah.
Like
that was awesome in there.
Yeah, and that's always a good vibe and always a good time.
So do you guys ever do like coach training on how to coach? On how to coach?
Sometimes, yeah. Like we haven't done one in a while, but we have like a messaging app where we'll talk about like things that come up, like a student got injured, and that sparked a really good conversation on coaching in level 1 versus coaching in level 2. Do we create a bridge between the 2 classes? Is there something else that we can do differently to make this better for the level 1 students getting into level 2? So we're always constantly talking about the things that could be better. And if somebody has a question, then we'll address it or work with them. And we haven't had any new level 1 coaches lately, so it's been pretty smooth sailing.
What do you look for in a coach when you're picking them? Is it just a belt level or personality and belt level, or like what's your criteria?
It's kind of both. And as the gyms advance, it's definitely been more on belt level too, because when I started, I was a 4-stripe blue belt.
Oh, wow.
And when my former partner left, I was still a 4-stripe blue belt running the entire gym on my own.
Oh, wow.
So I had some purple belts helping me here and there. And then as we kind of grew, I was able to, like when Professor Roland came on board, we now had like a new wave of like brown belts coming up.
Wow.
And it's just been a good process. But I think for me, like especially with kids, for example, the biggest thing I look for is not skill level. It's how well can you work with kids and manage kids, because you could be a world champ black belt, but if you don't know how to get through to kids, you can't teach kids.
Right.
So for kids, I do focus a lot more on that side of it. And then for adults, it's a good mix of the both, because you have to be able to understand and relate to people. Like, why is this person getting frustrated? How can I help this person understand what the technique is?
Right.
Because if you're a level 1 coach, you're working with brand new people who have anxiety, fears, frustrations, a lot of different hangups. And if you can't see what those hangups are, they're not going to stay. And that could be the difference between changing somebody's life and not. And so I want all of my coaches to be able to see that and to be able to understand other people and get through to them if needed.
Gotcha.
So
how do you get people through the door, especially the ones that are timid, and like grab them, because you have a huge number of women.
That was a great class.
That was amazing.
We had 20 ladies in level 1, and then the level 2 class, I want to say we had like 15 to 16.
That is so crazy, because we have an all women's class, but it's usually like 4 or 5 women, and they're kind of, some of them are hit or miss. And I'm like, if only they understood how good this is, you know what I mean? Like, they get past it. So how do you get people intrigued?
There's 2 different ways to look at that, because the ladies class we have isn't a separate program. It's a supplement to the regular level 1 classes. And so we have our gym set up in a way where families can train together. So you have a lot of kids and a lot of parents. So that class, more than half are probably moms.
Oh, okay.
And our moms, and if you're listening, you guys are freaking scary. I think one of them, we have a hashtag Murder Mom Squad.
Oh, nice.
They're scary. They're consistent. They train together. They push each other. They're incredible. And when you start to build that community, people get drawn. They want to be a part of it. We had 2 of our moms trying out classes for the first time today, and they loved it. One of them signed up today, and I'm really excited because I've been trying to get them on the mat. It took her 5 months to get on the mat.
Really?
Yeah.
She just sat on the side the whole time, or
Absolutely. And I kept bugging her and bugging her and bugging her. And Amelia, or not Amelia. See, that's the kiddo's name. Elena, if you're listening, this is for you. Yeah. And so that's one side of it, is that community is there. The second side, and I think it helps being a female gym owner, is the gym culture.
Yeah.
Because women are not treated differently. They're not on the side. They're not unheard, because sometimes, like, if you have issues or things or harassment, and it's in all of the like Facebook groups and stuff.
Okay.
About like a student harassing a female student, or somebody grabbed somebody's ass in the middle of a roll and it got brushed off. Like, that stuff happens all the time.
Right.
That doesn't happen at our gym. That's not in our gym culture. It's a safe place for everybody to be. And I think that's because it starts top down. So if the women's program is kind of on the side and it's not inclusive of the rest of the program and the rest of the students, then it's going to stay that way.
Right.
So I feel like there has to be some sort of cohesiveness in training where everybody can genuinely train together, where like bigger people have to understand you can't wrench on a shoulder and hurt somebody that's smaller than you. You flat out can't do that. And I think that's the danger a lot of women face in different gyms, is they just get hurt and smashed all the time.
Right.
And if you do get hurt or smashed and there's nobody there to talk you through it, then you get in your head, and now you're heading down that path of quitting versus staying on the mats. So
right.
I think there's just a lot that goes into it, and it just all starts with that top-down gym culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your gym felt very welcoming when we got there.
Yeah,
We had a couple of people ask us, like, you want to get in? You wanna get in?"
we're standing at the door waiting for you. It is like, yes, you're gonna jump in. Like, no, we're waiting for Sonia. Oh, you're gonna jump in? Like, no, we're waiting. So,
Like, so that was good too.
I'm like, no, we're waiting on Sonia.
But it's a good vibe. You can tell when you walk in, like,
Yeah.
it's a good vibe. You don't walk in there and get this like, oh man, I don't want to get on that mat. Everyone's welcoming, so that was nice.
That was popping today. It was a great day for Sunday Fun Day.
Yeah, that level 2 class was huge. Holy crap. I was like, music's blasting, everyone's going, professor's out there leading it. And I was like, man, I'm going to have to come back and do this level 2
That's what we
class.
said. We didn't know what class we were going to do today. We just, whatever class when we showed up. And I was like, oh, maybe we should have just waited for that level 2.
Yeah. So I would love to come back out and see that
Absolutely.
level 2
You guys are
class.
always welcome.
I appreciate
We
it.
can all die together. It'll be great. It'll be great.
So you mentioned kind of like a bridge from the level 1 to level 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you just let anyone jump into level 2, or
So-
are there certain things you're looking for?
If you're from a different gym and you have sparring experience and like maybe have a stripe or 2 on your belt, you should be totally fine. But usually we don't have that many visitors or drop-ins for level 2. So if you walk through the doors and you want to check out class, you start in level 1 jiu-jitsu, experience that. And then after you go through the curriculum, earn your first stripe, then we could move into level 2. And for some people, it's as short as 2 months. And for others, it's up to like 6 to 8 months, depending on who you are. Because if you're athletic and you get it from the beginning, you can move safely, you understand the positions, like you might move in a lot faster. If you're awkward turtle, brand new, unathletic, haven't done anything like this ever before.
Awkward turtle.
I was super awkward turtle. I still am. I will trip walking upstairs. That is me. But yeah, so if you don't have that background, it might take you a little bit longer because your body can't quite move the way it needs to. Because
Right.
if you move in too soon, if you start sparring too soon, that's how you get injured. That's how you hurt somebody else, and that's how you get frustrated too.
Yeah. So you don't let day ones spar. You wait until they get to level 2 and then they can start sparring.
Yeah. So in level 1, sometimes we'll do like progressive resistance. Like for example, today with that ladies class, we worked a lot of mount bottom escapes. And so the last little bit of class, we had everybody in that kind of queen of the hill style, right?
I like it.
Queen of the hill. But sometimes when you play like King of the Hill, like not everybody gets a fair chance at hitting the move. So we have like all the ones down for the first 3 minutes, and their only job is to escape bottom position, however they can escape. And then all the 2s are down for 3 minutes, and then they get to escape bottom position. So we can incorporate in like resistance that way for brand new people, and that way they get a taste of the move, a taste of some resistance, and they can now apply that technique correctly.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We talked about that. We noticed the way you did that. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, the counting off, and then because the way we do King of the Hill is like if one person down on the bottom, if they escape or whatever, then they stay in, or if they get past their guard or whatever it is, then the person that walked in stays, and the person that was on the bottom leaves. And
that's fun, and I love doing that. But if you have no experience and you're just starting out, you don't get any time to actually work the move. You're just trying to survive the entire time.
Right, and that's probably what we hear from a lot of the new people is new people. I mean, we're still white belts, but newer people that have like zero experience. When it comes time to sparring, they're like, I just don't know what to do. It's like, well, I mean, you're not going to know what to do the first time. But when it comes to like the King of the Hill stuff, I definitely enjoyed watching the 3 minutes you're on the bottom, and then the next group comes in, because then what we always talk about is like reps, getting reps in, and the more reps you get, the more you're going to learn. And then when it comes to live sparring, it's more likely you're going to be able to implement that technique in a real situation. If you learn it, like you guys did elbow escape today, right? Like if you just learn it in the class, and then it's like, all right, open mat, let's go ahead and spar, and you're like, I did it 6 times. I don't think. Which I feel like probably John's biggest weakness is repetition, because
I need lots of repetition, so I'm definitely a slow learner. The more repetitions, the better. That's fine with me.
So how do you going back to the bridge also? How do you get the women's class into like the level 2? Do you kind of like, hey, you should come try it out, the level 2 class, like or?
So it's when they get to that first stripe, right? And so first stripe, I might be the one to give them out to the ladies. We have 2 other coaches for the level 1 program, and most of those, if one mom that's Sundays only because of scheduling, the rest of them train during the week.
Oh, really?
Some of them will do 8 a.m.s and 6 p.m.s depending on the work schedule, if they have the if they have the opportunity. So once they get to that first stripe, that means now we have enough basic understanding to be able to roll. Or at least to be able to roll safe enough where we're not necessarily like spazzing out and causing harm, because that happens a lot, right?
Right.
And so once they get to that point, then they move into level 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, where do you guys have like a, I guess I don't want to say like qualification list.
That's what I was going to ask. If when they get through with the level 2, is that where they're kind of close to their next belt progression?
So it's just after that first stripe on the white belt. Yeah. And then the rest of it's with Professor Roland in the level 2 classes.
And then do you guys, what I was going to say is like, do you guys have like a certain criteria for each stripe that you're looking for? Or is it more along the lines of how they move and their...
For level 1, like you have to go through the curriculum once through, because that way it covers all of the positions.
Okay.
And then it's definitely like movement. It's definitely like, can you escape from Mount Bottom? Like, do we know how to actually shrimp? Do we know the lineage? Once we get to that point, then now we can move into level 2.
And then from level 2 progressions, like belt wise, like how do you guys?
That's all up to Professor Roland.
Oh, okay.
So he does all of the striping in level 2.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a set curriculum. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah. It's not like a set thing that you're looking for.
Correct.
How do you guys do belt promotions then? Is it just, he's like, okay, I feel like you're ready for it?
Oh, when you're ready, you go through a test.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
But the test isn't really a test.
Okay.
It is a grind. It is physical exhaustion, then to technique, then to rolling. And you want to quit probably several dozen times during your test.
Right.
I went through mine in February, and I was the first one to be belted under Professor Roland, and it was 2 grueling hours.
Wow.
And then for mine, my ankle popped, my knee popped,
I
still pushed through it. And it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
I was so sore the next day. I couldn't sit up without using my hands. Like I could not engage my abs to sit up out of bed. And it was just one of those things, like once you go through that, there's nothing you will ever do that is harder than that.
Right.
So, and it's almost like a rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just been a really fun experience. We have, I think, a group that will be due for their promotions the week after the revolution.
Oh, nice.
So, and I have a feeling it's that group of ladies. So ladies, if you're listening, good luck. Good luck. It'll be wonderful.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you guys compete a lot at your school? I saw you had like a wall of medals over there.
Yeah, we do. So the revolution, honestly, like, again, our ladies are the killer competitors. Like the mom squad is crazy. Last rev, we had 9 women and 2 guys competing.
Wow.
Yeah, this rev definitely a lot more guys. But we do compete because it's a nice way to test kind of where our skills are. And it's not required, it's not mandatory, but I encourage it because it's the only way, like, 1, to get over fears and anxieties, and 2, to see how you do against somebody your same size and skill at that kind of 100% intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And I compete for fun for that reason. Like last time I competed, I hadn't really been training. I jumped in after a week of rolling, competed at the Rev in, I think it was March of last year, or maybe November. I don't remember. It was one of the two. And it was a lot of fun. So,
John, you're about to compete for the first time.
Yay. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Are you nervous?
Not really. And my daughter's going to do it Sunday, so I'm excited for that too.
Perfect. That's the fun lead by example part. We have a lot of parents competing, and a good part of that, there's that personal portion, but there's also if my kid's competing, I'm going to compete so I can lead the way too.
Yeah. And I say I'm not nervous, but we'll see when I get there. But I feel like since we drop around the schools and we were in Japan rolling with a bunch of people we didn't know there, that it I don't know, I almost feel the same way when I stop into a school and I don't know anyone and we roll. It's like I feel like I've gotten over those nerves at this point, just doing it that way. And I went and watched Revolution last time because I like to see what's going to happen before I do it. And after sitting through and watching it, I was like, okay, it's no different.
It'll be fine. Nobody's watching you. You're good.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just like rolling after class, except a little bit higher intensity.
Do your best and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I my son's doing it on next Sunday also, and originally I was signed up for it, but since now I have to go, like I mentioned earlier, I got to go to San Diego on tomorrow actually. Unfortunately, I won't be able to compete on this one, but if people talk about competing so you can test your skills against same size opponent, same skill level and whatnot. So I'm like, thinking in my head, like, man, I'm going to get my butt kicked when I get I'm so nervous. Like, even like dropping at your school, because one thing that we always talk about is like, because we drop in at schools and we like to spar with other people. It's like, we don't ever want people to think like we're coming in for like, to like prove a point or something like that. Because we don't want people to see us and think that they have to prove a point because we're dropping in from another school. So that's like, you know, a little bit of a concern that we have. But every school we've dropped into so far has been so welcoming. It's been incredible. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, no problems at all with that. And it's fun. I like to meet new people, and it's nice to spar with people that don't know all my tendencies because they train with me, you know, every day. So that's
actually that's the fun part about competing, because right now I just got back into rolling last week. I took an unintentional 6-month hiatus. And it was one of those like, everybody can somewhat shut my game down. Okay, I have to redevelop this a little bit.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, I think this game will still work in a tournament. It just doesn't work in class right now because everybody's like increased their skill set, their training, their top pressure has been awesome.
That's good.
And so it's just really fun when you get to that point of like, okay, this isn't working. What else can I do? Because it forces you to adjust and adapt your game.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say for a second. Oh no.
just for a second.
Oh, no.
I drew a blank.
Well, I have a fun point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the Revolution, the first time I competed, and this is nothing compared to some of the badass black belt women out there, but like one of my first tournaments, I was in a combined weight bracket at blue belt.
Really?
And white belt, I was supposed to compete. I got into a car accident, so I wasn't able to. But even then, that was a combined weight bracket. There were no purples and browns competing when I first started competing at blue belt. You were lucky if you maybe had one or two other blue belts in your bracket, and that would be a combined weight division.
Wow.
I mean, like, I'd be in middleweight. You'd have one from light and one from heavy. And that is your blue belt women's division. There was no masters. There was no adult. It was just 3 total women. And if you look at the lineup right now, there are, I believe, 6 brown belts and maybe 6 purples signed up for the Rev.
Wow.
For the women. And there's actually divisions at both of those belt levels, which is huge. And so it's awesome how much the sport's grown for women because, again, when I started competing, there was nobody. There was like maybe 2 to 3 people if you're lucky. But then like some of the women's divisions, like you have 11 to 15 people brackets, and that's huge.
Right.
Because, again, when you have 2 or 3 people in your division and you get that 3rd place medal or that 2nd place medal because there's nobody else,
right?
It is that empty feeling of like, I did nothing to earn this. I showed up, but I didn't fight for 2nd. I just got 2nd because I lost that one match.
Right, right.
So.
Yeah, Ashley talked about that on her episode. She was mentioning how when she did compete, she would have to do a weight cut so she could get into a weight bracket to where there were more ladies because there was maybe 1 or 2 people that would sign up for hers. And she's like, I'll just go into a cut and then, lose a little bit of weight. And then boom, I'm more in a competitive weight class. So, which I couldn't imagine. I used to do competitive like weightlifting, and I would do a little bit of a weight cut to get to 77 kilos. And now looking at that, I'm like, no way would I do that now. Nope, I'm good.
And I was so worried about it just with this one next weekend. I bumped up the weight class. I was like, whatever. I chose 195. Originally, I picked, 181?
181.
And I'm normally in the 170s, but with a gi, I'm over 181. And the next jump was 195. So I was like, whatever, I'm just going to pick the 195.
What's your walking weight?
175.
Okay. You can always get like a competition gi, like a lighter weight gi.
Oh, yeah.
They're 2 to 3 pounds. Yeah, that'll keep at the 181. Or the other thing, most people don't drink enough water. How much water do you drink?
Oh, I drink tons of water.
Okay,
It's probably the tons of beer that goes with it. But I can't remember. I think I only have to do 4-minute rounds, so that's nice.
Masters
or
executive?
Executive, I think, is 4. Masters is 5.
They have a life alert guy on the sideline.
Yeah. So I should be good to go. I should be able to
The
go.
medics are super nice at the Rev. They're pretty fantastic.
Just don't lose your ID is what I noticed last time. Yeah.
Don't lose your ID?
Your driver's license or ID. Yeah, they mess with you a lot. If
really?
You do that. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, John recently just actually is recovering from a stroke.
Oh, wow.
What was it?
It was about a year ago.
Injuries. Yeah. Injury about a year ago. suffered a stroke at work and then walked all the way back to the office. And
It was interesting.
What was it like again? He was like, it was like tunnel vision the whole
It was
way.
just weird. Everything was slow motion. It just took me a while to get back to the office. But
How long was the recovery?
so for my I feel like the recovery was fast. I was in the hospital overnight, and I think I got surgery a couple months later, and I was fine. If anything, it might have just messed off, people. Anytime I'm very right dominant, so now anytime I have to do anything left, it's just more difficult, but not anything that's going to change life or anything like that. I just got to think about it.
Has jiu-jitsu helped that recovery?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a super uncoordinated guy, so
my
jiu-jitsu's
God,
helping that regardless. But it's been good.
Watching John do a berimbolo roll is like my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, there you go.
It's absolutely terrible. Like you got a rebuilt shoulder,
Yeah.
like all kinds
I
of
was
stuff.
like, that's just not going to work for me.
Yeah.
I'm not using that one.
Yeah, I read online like you just had your hip rebuilt.
No, so 11 years ago, I had hip surgery.
Oh, okay.
So it's reconstructive hip surgery, which when the surgeon tells you you don't need rehab or prescribes prehab before you go into surgery, it leads to a lot of issues.
Oh man.
And so it wasn't until I started training about a year after that surgery, because I needed a different way to lose weight. And then a month or two after that, I got in a car accident, which is when I started physical therapy. And then after 2 to 3 months, they couldn't figure out why, like my back and neck were still kind of experiencing symptoms of like whiplash.
Mhm.
And they were like, "Oh, you have scar tissue. You have so much scar tissue, because it's all connected."
Mm-hmm.
And so we switched the focus to my hip and the scar tissue there. And then with that work, my back got better. But it's just been it's been a chronic thing for the last like 10 years. And so strength and conditioning is a big help. Stability work is a big help. And then when I stopped moving is when I noticed it, because I fought in September, and the fight camp, like I was training 2 to 4 hours a day.
Mhm.
Like I started running, which I hate running. I've never enjoyed running. I was always the last kid in middle school. I had the slowest mile time. I couldn't finish the 4th lap sometimes. I hated running. And so for this camp, I started running again. And I surprised myself, because usually after I do like a half mile to a mile, like I'll feel it in my hips, and then it would lead to like a week of like pain. And so this time around, it was totally fine. And that was weird. And I am now a runner. I can call myself a runner.
Oh,
I
that's
will run
nice.
for fun for 2 to 4 miles, somewhere in that range. And so when I stop moving, that's when I feel it in my hips. Like right now, I haven't been training as much, and so my hips a little bit flared up, and I know I need to get back to like moving. And I mean, the 2 to 4 hours a day was rough, but that was the best I felt physically.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you try yoga or any chiropractor or anything like that?
Yeah.
to
So
help?
I will do like massage therapy and it's a sports chiropractor, like a sports doctor every like 2 to 3 weeks. And then really the biggest thing that helps is movement, like walking, running, single leg stability stuff. Training will help. Muay Thai was fantastic, because when last February I tore my MCL. Yeah, it was snowboarding. It wasn't.
Oh my
it wasn't
gosh.
training. It wasn't fighting. It wasn't rolling. It was snowboarding.
Snowboarding.
Yeah, I forgot that I strained my knee till it stopped hurting, and I got off the lift the wrong way and ate it and blew my knee out.
Oh my gosh.
But I switched to Muay Thai for like rehab. Like the next week, I was hobbling by the bags, like doing 1-2s and light punching, and then the week after, I was adding some like elbows in maybe, and then 4 weeks after, I was adding some like knees in. And then 6 weeks after, I kind of had a kick again, kind of. And then 8 weeks, I was able to like actually move with the bag pretty well. And so I switched my focus to Muay Thai from February up until September. And that was the best I physically felt, because Muay Thai is a lot of single leg stuff, and it's a lot of stability. It's a lot of balance. And that helped me like re-engage my hip like the right way, and it was really awesome.
So what all martial arts background do you have? Because you mentioned Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think I've read online. There's quite a few that you've been doing for.
That's
a while.
actually about it. So
okay.
the Taekwondo, you can thank my mom for that one. When I was 9, she made my sister and I do it. And I say made because I was like, I don't want to do this. This is stupid. It was at back then Hearts Athletic Club, not 24, it was Hearts. And it was a free self-defense thing. So it was Taekwondo. and I hated it. It was awkward. It was super awkward. And then I stuck with it because I made friends, and then I kept doing it, and it was just really fun. And I did it for 16 years total.
16
Uh-huh.
years. So you're black belt in Taekwondo?
Yeah.
What, Dan? Right? That's what it's called?
Yes,
Dan?
third.
Third Dan?
Mhm.
Dang. So that's what, third degree black
Yeah.
belt in jiu-jitsu?
Mm-mm.
No?
Taekwondo.
No, I mean like like equal.
Similarly, yes. Like a lot of Taekwondo, and this is, I think, what the current gripe is very belt factory-ish, right?
Uh-huh.
So when you get a black belt in Taekwondo, they're not always like real black belts. It's just I've paid money to test every 2 to 3 months.
Oh, okay.
And so I think I was one of the last generation to be able to, I think, fully like earn my way through a black belt.
Right.
Because it took me a while to earn. Everybody after is a much shorter time frame, but that's because like of the way the entire business is structured within Taekwondo. So let's see. That was Taekwondo. I started jiu-jitsu when I was 20. I was still teaching and training in Taekwondo and going to school full-time at the UW and working.
Wow.
And then with that, I started a little bit of Muay Thai. So I've been doing Muay Thai on and off for the first few years, like super on and off. And then I picked it back up again about 3 years ago.
So when what made you want to start jiu-jitsu then? Is just
I needed a different way to get into shape. Like this was after the hip surgery. I mean, I was on crutches for 4 months. Like my weight spiked to almost 200. And so I was doing the boot camp classes at 24, the elliptical, like the literally anything and everything I could. And the boot camp instructor at the time, Andrew, he trained at Gracie Baja.
Oh, okay.
And so he had a covered class, and he incorporated in some like triangle drills and some like movement things to work your core. And I was like, that's really cool. Can you show me more? So he brought a gi in. We laid some of those like mats down. He showed me a couple of things, and then I went and tried out a class the next week.
Wow.
And I fell in love with it, even though it was really freaking awkward. It was somersault guard passing with Professor Cindy Hales. And so I stuck with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife recently just started doing it, and she mentioned how she like walked in. It's so funny. She like walked in a class one time, and it was north south stuff, and we were doing Kimura from north south. You know how you lay them on the side and everything. And she's like, I just walked over, and all I saw was this guy's nuts just on the side. She's like, I don't know if I could do this.
Well, so my sister is a fun story for that, because when, let's see, I was still a brand new white belt. I was the only girl in class, and we were doing close guard stuff. So I had my sister and our 3 cousins from New Zealand were visiting, and they walked in because they were supposed to pick me up. And all they see is close guard, close guard, close guard, and they're giggling. And after class, I'm like, what the hell, you guys? Like, what's so funny? And it was it just looked like gay sex.
Oh my God.
And it was just one of those like, thanks guys. But then it took me 4.5 years to get her into a gi.
Yeah.
And then now she's training consistently. She's actually in class when we left. And she's been killing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she got her blue belt last year, and she's been just like addicted to training.
How do you try to convince like everyone you know to do jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and whatnot?
Sometimes. But it's more so I have the try it once before you tell me no, before you tell me no philosophy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, like, for example, if they have issues in life, like they are just really busy and stressed out and they don't take time for themselves, they don't do anything. I'm like, try a class and then tell me no. Like, just do something. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to like lose weight and they have just body image issues, right? A lot of self-esteem issues. I'm like, try it and then tell me no, because it's going to help you build that confidence where you stop worrying about what other people think, right? So like my mom's done a couple of the self-defense seminars that I ran. So she's done a couple of things. But my sister is like, I knew that she would enjoy it. And so I kind of pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until she started training.
That's awesome.
It took 4.5 years, but that's okay.
But it happened. It happened. We kind of do that at work. We're like, try to convince people, not necessarily convince, but encourage people to come try it.
Well, if you think about it, it's something you are really passionate about. It changed your life. Like, you want other people to experience that too, because you know it's going to change their lives,
especially
as well.
the benefits
that
you get out of it. That's why, they're friends of ours, and we're like, you got to try it. You got to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have people that have addictions, and this is their way of remaining in sobriety. You have people that need a new hobby. Like in Seattle, you have a ton of people that just moved here and they're looking for community.
Yep.
They're looking for something to occupy time. You have some people that actually probably at some point were assaulted and they just want a little more confidence.
Yep.
When you know you can throw somebody, that confidence is huge, right? A lot of times we get I want to learn self-defense, but I don't like people in my personal space. That is one you hear a lot. Yeah. Yeah. And like if somebody's attacking you, you can't be like, actually, hang on. Can you just take 2 steps back and step out of my bubble, please? Because okay, now you can start mugging me. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen. Like when somebody grabs you, what do you do?
Yep.
Right. And so that is my not pitch, but that's like my point for a lot of the like moms that want to do it, but they haven't tried it yet. And oftentimes too, like you can tell, like they do want to do it, but there's anxiety and fears.
Right.
One of the moms, it took her, I think, a year before she started training, and we made a deal because her kid was late to class every single time. Connie, I love you. I just told this story to somebody this morning because it's like my favorite story to tell. But they were late every single class. Leo was in tears because he would miss warm-ups every single time. And then I asked him, I was like, is it mom's fault or is it your fault? And he was like, mom's fault. I'm like, okay. So I asked mom, I was like, hey, I talked to Leo. Leo says that it's mom's fault that he's late every time. And mom's like, yeah, I know. I know. And so we made a deal because we have that wheel for the lost and found buyback items.
That is awesome, by the way.
I took a picture of it.
Yeah. Great. Cody, our gym owner, I'm definitely good because we have a huge lost and found, so we're definitely going to steal that. Sorry, go on.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no, that wheel is a great thing. I'm sorry to everybody else that has to spin that wheel. But we made a deal. She has to spin the wheel every time that they're late. And so she would do that. And then she'd go in that kids area and do her like burpees or push-ups or whatever the consequence was. And then it allowed her to build up enough confidence in herself to actually try a class because she hadn't done anything physical in a long time. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, I can't get rid of her. When she's sick, she was sick this weekend and she came in to watch class today and take notes.
Oh, that's good.
And she's competing for the first time ever on Saturday at the Revolution.
Nice.
And it took her a year to get on the mats, but now I think she's found, and because if you think about it, you find a side of yourself that you don't ever see. Mm-hmm. Like when you start training jiu-jitsu, like you're vulnerable on the mats, like you expose who you are as a person. Like you can't hide anything on the mats. Like you're vulnerable, you're exposed. Like this is you. Like there's nothing else but you on that mat right now.
Right.
And so it just builds you up in a way that nothing else can, I think.
Right. And one thing I always tell people too, especially when they're first starting, I'm like, you don't realize how hard it is to fight for your life until you're against someone that has even just a little bit of training makes the world a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I thought I was in shape until the first couple jiu-jitsu classes we did. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I've been doing CrossFit for like 4 years. Like I'm in pretty good shape. I got a heavy squat. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Like I'm just a complete fish out of water.
My favorite is the brand new wrestler that comes in
and
trains.
John loves those.
And they think that they can do level 2 and start sparring from the get-go. And it's like, okay, cool. Pass my guard.
Yep.
Because they're not used to having somebody on their back because that's, again, the objective in wrestling. And so when a wrestler dives into your guard with arms flailing and wide, you got triangle chokes and arm bars all day. It's fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, John loves young, fresh wrestlers. It's hilarious. We were in Japan. We tell the story quite a bit, but it's because it's just absolutely perfect to describe that. John was was it King of the Hill or was it just open mat?
I think it was just open mat.
And what's that Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he gets mauled by the bear? Revenant?
Yeah, Revenant.
Revenant. So the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio is like getting eaten alive by the bear, that's what looked like when John was getting attacked by this wrestler. Like
he's right on. I was like looking over my shoulder like, Travis, you can jump in anytime.
John gets up, his like gi pants are like under his butt, his like shirt's all messed up, hair's all done. And then I was like, it's like, you all right? He's like, oh, that was a tough one. But the guy, what was funny was
was 2 months past surgery too.
Yeah, and he was like just had surgery, right? Mm-hmm. And what was funny though is like not only was like John just getting mauled, which I absolutely loved, but like the wrestler was getting frustrated because he couldn't get past John's guard. Right.
Exactly. There you go.
So he would get a leg free, and then John just put him in half, and then shrimp back into guard. And the guy's like looks at me. He's like, "Oh, I was like, well, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. You're like mauling this dude right
That's
now.
all I could do though was just keep establishing guard because he had a lot of energy.
Yeah, that's it, and that's one thing. With like, I remember being a brand new white belt is they're like, man, you brand new white belts have so much energy, and it didn't click with me right away until now that brand new white belt comes in. I'm like, man, you guys got so much energy. Like, calm down just a little bit.
Well, if you think about it this way though, and this happens in like Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, everything, that energy is also because they want to quote unquote win because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So then it's like, if you're on your back, you're doing everything you can to not get your guard pressed because you don't know what else to do besides survive.
Right.
And so I have a lot of conversations with people like, hey, do not even worry about winning. Just use all of your technique right now. Like, it's not about winning. If somebody puts you in side control bottom, take a breath, embrace it. You can even say, hey, thank you.
Right.
Because now you get to work your technique on escaping side control bottom.
Absolutely.
Because that energy is so hard to contain because you hit that panic mode and that feeling of like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Somebody's on top of me and smashing me. What do I do?
Right.
Like, how do I get out of here? I can try to bench press them off because I don't know what else to do.
Right.
So it's having that reminder in their ear to take a breath and work technique because you can't panic your way out of it, especially if they're bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, once someone starts imposing their will on you when they're bigger and stronger, it's like you have to use the technique.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Japan, we had a purple belt. His name was Marcus, and he was a little bit smaller than John, but I'm bigger and stronger than him. But it meant absolutely nothing. I was getting tapped left and right. Like there was nothing I could do to save my life against that man. Mm-hmm. And it's just because his technique was just so good. You know, it's like it just absolutely disables my strength. So that's what's cool about jiu-jitsu too, is we joke around about one of our favorite things to do is just let people work, and just let them tire themselves out and then get up and like high five them like, good job, man. Like
that's the fun one. Yes.
Yeah. So how do you get women to keep with it? Like once you mentioned it earlier, like building the community, like what was it like when you first started for the women? Because I one thing we always talk about is like women joining jiu-jitsu and like being over that fear, because it really is for the best for them, right? Just empowering yourself to know that you know how to defend yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you start with all that?
Oh, I'm trying to think back because we've always had like women in the gym. We've always kind of had a women's class, and it would range from like 2 people to 6 people. Mm-hmm. As you guys saw today, we had 20 people in that class, and that's not even like half crazy. Our women. Like we're still missing a good group of our core. Like my sister wasn't in that class. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of ladies that weren't here today. And actually I think 4 of the ladies in level 2 were not in either women's class this morning. And so I think the biggest thing too is to like anticipate those fears. Be like, hey, you're going to have this fear, but it's going to be okay because it's a normal fear to have. Because I think when people have their anxieties, like if they're not addressed and they're not normalized, then it's an easy reason to not stick with it and to quit, because it is frustrating. And if that can't be addressed, then you're going to stay in your head with it instead of understanding like, hey, it is totally okay to feel this way because everybody does. Right. Like, I think once people think about it that way and accept it, then it changes the entire game. But if you're stuck in your head with it, like it's not a good place to be when you're in your head about, man, I suck, man, I'm holding everybody back, man, like I'm never gonna be good at this. Like when you have all of those thoughts and nobody's there to coach you out of it, it's very easy to be like, I'm just this isn't for me, I'm quitting. Right. It's so easy to do that. And so for us, like a lot of and again, it takes a while to build a culture, but a lot of our like moms that have been around a while, a lot of our level 2 ladies, like they help keep everybody together. It's like glue. It's like, you're new, perfect, I want to work with you, I want to help you, and no, you're not holding me back because I'm here for a reason. I'm here to help you. And so you feel so supported that you want to stick with it, and it is fun. And it's also being able to cater classes to that too, because again, level 1, it's pretty basic and foundational. Like I don't go over anything too crazy. So it's enough information where they can understand and like retain it and see the value in it too. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, absolutely.
That's good. And, that's part of the reason we wanted to start this podcast is, and so far in our journey, if we ever have any of these doubts, there was like nowhere to really go look or hear this kind of stuff. I'd go on Google or I'd search for a podcast, but it was always high level black belts talking about high level jiu-jitsu. And I was like, oh, not understanding a thing they are saying.
Well, that and like you get some coaches that are like, suck it up, like stop being a baby, like that's kind of like normalized culture too. And so I think once you get to that point where like you can actually have a conversation about it and see how to like legitimately like address those concerns, like that's how you start to see like retention and like the community actually being built up. But if your community is like shut people down, like, nope, you're being a baby, get out of here. Like that reinforces like a toxic environment and culture.
Right.
And so I think it's healthy to be able to have those conversations and talk to students, especially when they're new. And honestly, like that doesn't ever fully go away. Like you will always have like a little bit of those like insecurities inside.
Right.
So
yeah, there's been times when we're in the middle of class and someone's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, I'm holding you back." I'm like, "No, no, I promise you're not." Because you moving or taking a little bit longer, it makes me have to take a little bit longer. So it's just better in my technique too. So it's no offense at all. Like I enjoy it. So
that, and like if you're able to help that new person with their technique, like now you know it that much better.
Yeah.
So again, that's the cool thing about the level 2 ladies in that level 1 class, because like they get to help, and if they can re-explain the technique, then they know it, you know?
Right.
And I know I'm talking a lot about the ladies class. Like it's only a super small portion of our programming. Like we have a ton of classes. Like during the weekdays, we have 8 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. Tuesday and Thursdays, as well as a 7 p.m.
Wow.
At both, or that's all at Seattle. And then we also have 6 and 7 p.m. at Burien. So we have a lot of classes. So that's just a very small percentage and fraction of like what we have for the women. Because they all attend the co-ed classes. 8 a.m.s and noons are like 50% women.
Wow.
And then level 2 in the evenings, like a little under half. Or sorry, the level 1's in the evenings, a little under half. And then level 2, probably 25% are women.
Wow. So how many classes you guys have in a day then?
Let's see. So we just added another Muay Thai class in the morning. So if you add up all the programs or just
all the
jiu-jitsu.
programs, because it looks like you guys have multiple classes going on at once too.
Yeah.
Right?
So we just changed the schedule a little bit. So like, for example, Tuesday we have 8 a.m. Muay Thai and 8 a.m. Jiu-Jitsu. We have noon Jiu-Jitsu. We have 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. kids Muay Thai, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. adult Muay Thai. And then Jiu-Jitsu kids, we have 6 p.m. And then level 1, 6 p.m., level 2, 7 p.m.
Wow.
That's one day.
I think we have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah. And it starts small. And then as, again, like I embrace change when something isn't working. Like right now we have, I would say, an overcrowding issue Monday, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Like there's so many people. Like our Muay Thai space has 20 to 30. Our level 1 adult class has 20 to 30.
Wow.
Our level 2 kids class, I have 20 to 30.
Wow.
When we started that schedule, Muay Thai maybe had 10 to 12. Jiu-Jitsu maybe had 10. And my kids, I had like 6 in that class. It's freaking insane.
That's crazy.
And so now it's like, how can I adjust the schedule or address that to maximize the space and the time? So something's probably going to change the next couple of weeks. But like when we first started, I had, let's see, we didn't have a level 2 kids class. I had 20 kids in the level 1 classes, and we had sometimes split the advanced kids into like a separate group. And then as we grew, I added the level 2 classes. And then I added a Tuesday and Thursday class, and then the Friday class. So it's the, as like the programming, or as the program grows, it's like, how do we address that growth?
Yeah, how do you adapt for it?
Yeah. And then I think the other part that people don't always look at, because when people quit, it's kind of normal. But for me, why did that person quit? Like, were they not coming in consistently? Did they not have a good time? Were they just getting frustrated? And so retention's a really big part of it for me. And so I think because I focus a lot on retention, like we have, I think, a 3 to 5% attrition rate. So our retention's really high. And so that's why we don't have a lot of turnover, and why we can keep like growing our classes and keep expanding.
Yeah, retention's huge. I mean, sometimes we'll have people drop in and they maybe spend a couple weeks with us, and then we never see them again. And I always wonder what happens. Like, they just not for them, or I just don't know. But yeah, you must, just the size of those classes, like the retention has to be good. What
So
do you find helps you with that? Is it just those
follow-ups and reaching out? Like that's what our front desk does. Yeah. They will contact them when they first contact us. Like they will get their trial class scheduled. If they don't sign up, we will still follow up and just make sure that they had a good time. If they do sign up, we check in at 2 weeks. And then if they miss a couple weeks of classes, we check in with them again saying, hey, is everything okay? Like, do you want to cancel? Do you want to hold? Like, is something going on? Because again, it's about that like honest business side of it. And we're not asking because we want your money and we want to make sure like you're still paying. Like we're asking because we really want to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
And if there's like a major life change somehow and like you can't keep training, then let's help you cancel. Let's help you put a hold on to that membership. And I think that business perspective is really hard to see sometimes because you're so focused on generating revenue as a business owner that you want to just focus on the money instead of the people. But if you focus on the people, then the revenue's there.
Yeah.
So do you have a program that does that? Like checks in? Do your athletes have to check into class and it's all tracked?
Yeah, so we use Zen Planner, and we're focusing on check-ins more now because we didn't really stay on top of it before, but we're getting big enough where it's like we want to make sure we can actually like keep track of everybody. So the program will track it for us, and then whoever is staffed at the front desk, they'll make the calls and check in. And like sometimes, like again, as a coach, because I have multiple hats, so when it's that coaching role for kids, like if I don't see a kid for like a couple of weeks, I will email their parents like, hey, I haven't seen so and so. Is everything okay? And I think that's just a really big part of business, and I think that gets overlooked often. And especially like as you grow and get so busy, like it's easy to lose sight of the little things that matter too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So what do you do outside of running this business and jiu-jitsu and all that?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, that's about it.
Really?
So
do you keep your level? You keep you level-headed. There's never.
So I will definitely hit some burnout points. And personally, I will try to take like a mini trip every couple months, like a 3-day thing. And then like I have a big trip coming up where I'm visiting family in New Zealand, so I'm gone for 2 weeks at the end of November, which I'm super excited for. But like Saturdays are my one day where I might do something. Whether it's clean the freaking house, because I know that gets neglected because again, priorities, right? So it's a matter of looking at, because I actually made a post about this the other day because I was thinking about it. I'm not training as much because I'm more business focused right now and coaching more. I can't feel bad about not training as much because of that. And I can't feel bad if, for example, I'm gaining weight because it's not a priority right now. Like I could eat better, but I'm also enjoying great food. Yeah, so I can't be upset about that choice I'm making because again, everything's a choice.
Right.
And so I look at my priorities in 4 different levels. I have business, I have training, I have coaching, and then personal. So it's a matter of like which order that takes. And for that last fight camp, training was number 1, business was number 2, coaching was 3, and then personal was 4. And right now where I'm at, business is 1, training and coaching are both 2, and then personal still at the bottom. But that doesn't mean I ignore it. It means like when I feel that burnout, like I'll take a little time to myself. I love reading. We talked about nerding out over sci-fi books, right? Fantasy. Mm-hmm. I love reading. I'm trying to get back into that a little bit more. Training is what keeps me level-headed. Maybe if I have to clear my head, I'll go for a run. I took a mini trip to California 3 weeks ago. That was really fun. I like to train and travel a lot because it's just nice to like not worry about that little mess that has to get cleaned up or that thing that's out of place or that spot on the mat that needs to get cleaned, right? So I like to travel and train a lot if I can do that or compete. And so I don't know, I guess for fun I will hang out with my family sometimes on the weekends, read a book, hang with the dogs, take a walk, go rock climbing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love rock climbing.
It's fun.
Do you do indoor or out?
Indoor. It's a Seattle bouldering project. The last couple of weeks though, because we go with a group of friends, I went with them, but I was working instead of climbing because I had a lot of things to do. Oh, no. Yeah. But I got to socialize, so it was a good time.
Do you like bouldering, or do you like what is it with the line? I'm drawing a blank on what it's called.
Rappelling,
right now. Rappel.
What's it called? belay.
Belaying.
Belaying,
That's what it
belaying.
was. Yeah. Do you like belaying or bouldering more?
Bouldering.
Bouldering.
Bouldering's
Yeah, me too.
fun. Yeah.
I love bouldering. We have a place over in Kitsap County called over on Bainbridge Island. It's indoor, and they have bouldering and belaying. And they have like literally it's a whole like one side of the wall. It like wraps around and you can just keep going. And it has like a tunnel you can get inverted on.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's amazing. And I've been like twice there. But bouldering to me is so much fun. Oh, man. Have you ever tried it?
It's great for grips.
You have it?
Nope.
Dude, yeah, great for grips. I was about to say, you can go legless. You could just, it's a whole lot of fun. Maybe we should go sometime.
Try it out.
Yeah, should I go sometime?
Yeah. Because it's fun and it's not too expensive. I think it's like $30 for a day pass over. You could be there as long as you want and doing both sides. So
yeah, I think Seattle Bouldering Project Day pass like 20. If you guys want to go in Seattle. Too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, where's it at in Seattle?
It's in the International District area. It's like maybe 10 to 15 minutes from here.
Really? Is it the one that's next to REI or?
No, this is a completely different. It's in its own little hidden nook. It's like a random little side street to get there.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm about to check that one out. Maybe the wife and I'll go. She likes bouldering too.
Oh, yeah.
We've gone once or twice. So
it's super fun. You guys can come train. She can hang out. Or she could train too, actually.
Yeah.
And then you guys, because we have a shower, go climb afterwards.
Oh, that's a smart idea. She wanted, she like I said, she just started. So, but we're trying to sell a house right now.
Yeah.
And we have she just started a brand new job. And so there's like a whole bunch of going on. So she hasn't been able to make it very much. But, and also our school is so new. We go over, there's no really differential in classes.
Yeah, no level 1, no level 2.
Yeah, there's no right.
Yeah,
so like she jumps in and we're going over De La Hiva or like X Guard, and she's like, I don't even know what any of this is. And it's like, I know, I'm sorry. Like that's why you should really, because our women's only class are more kind of like your level 1. It's not super basic, but it's a lot of fundamentals for them to get through. And so I was like, maybe you should just do the women's class on Mondays and then come do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Saturdays do the women's class also. You know, it's like, because then you're getting a good mixture of both. But yeah, that'd be great to have her come. I'm trying to get her more into it. And
I knew I should have made my daughters grab a gi and do today with us.
Yeah. Olivia's all about it right now too. She's close to promotion, so she's like
train. Yes.
Yep.
Good.
So, do you have any recommendations or tips for brand new white belts that are starting up?
Well, one, don't quit. Stick with it, even if you get frustrated, because it's something you absolutely need to do.
Yep.
And two, stay patient and have fun. Like if something isn't working, I have one student. He is amazing. No athletic background whatsoever. Could not do a side roll at all. And I'm talking about that around the world drill where you spin around somebody's legs over and over again. It took him 6 months to begin to kind of do that, and it took him a year before he actually could mostly do that. And he stuck with it. He just got his blue belt. He
nice.
Did not give up, and it took him a long time to get there. And he still has a long way to go, but he's one of those like, I know I suck at this, but I'm going to stick with this until I get better. And if you have that approach and mindset, because really it's all mindset, right? So, well, I guess the advice would be to have that mindset of growth, of understanding, like understanding that you're going to fail, you're going to suck at it, and it'll only get better.
Yeah.
And that I think is the biggest thing. If you can have that mindset, you're going to see a lot of success.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. What about if a lady's first starting or thinking about it? What would you say to them?
Same thing. And then also to find, and actually this applies to everybody, find a gym that you can call home, meaning the culture fits your needs, the people fit your needs. Like if you walk into a gym and there's a bunch of like meatheads, they probably don't work well with women or smaller people because of culture. Maybe you have a bunch of just like hobbyists that don't train hard, but you drill and spar for fun. Maybe they have a bunch of competitors that there's no catering to anybody else. So find a gym that has a good balance of everything. And again, find a gym that doesn't have a toxic culture. And toxic culture could be something as simple as just like sometimes the head coach or the upper belts will, isolate newer students. Maybe they make fun of somebody. Maybe they talk shit behind somebody's back.
Yeah.
Right? That happens a lot. I think it's finding that culture that's the right fit for you.
Yeah.
Like, are there women there? Are there kids there? Are there competitors? Are there hobbyists? Are there parents? Are there families? Are there people from all different backgrounds, like all different walks of life?
Right.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree, because you never know what you can learn from someone. Like, you can't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? Like, look at John. He's got 3/4 of a brain, and he's
Hey.
But I learn something from him all the time, and like so. His wrist lock game is really good. So
I see. You're one of those. Okay.
Hey, I gotta use what I could use. It slows down the more younger athletic ones.
Yeah, our buddy Cody, he's like 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds, former MMA Muay Thai fighter. And so since now we started exploring wrist locks a little bit more now to slow him down so he doesn't smash us so hard, we just randomly like get right in there, and like even if it's nowhere close to being finished, at least he like takes a second to think about it. Well, you got anything else, John?
No, thank you for letting us come drop in your school. It was fantastic. Great facility. I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Where could people find the school and you at on social media, or if they want to come drop in?
So social media, we have a few different accounts. The Instagram would be West Seattle BJJ. We have a Combat Arts Academy one. You can find the Seattle Muay Thai one. And then there's my personal. You can always message me, although to be very, very honest, I don't respond well to Instagram or Facebook messaging because I have a billion different messaging platforms. You can always find the website, Combat Arts Academy, or on Facebook. Just type in Combat Arts Academy. Should be able to find something.
Yeah, no, it's really accessible. Like I was surprised how many of Instagrams. I was like, I thought I already followed them. I'm still going. So no, but thank you so much, Sonia, for having us and letting us drop in. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you, Ashley, for recommending Sonia for coming on. This was great.
Ashley.
Yeah. She doesn't listen to this. Like, that was me. So thank you once again. And remember, guys, no oil checks here, and have a good day. Os.